I've been asked many times to do a studio tour of my mastering room. However, I have got to do one now because for insurance purposes, I need to get a price on everything. So I'm going to walk you through all of my equipment, tell you how I use it, why I use it, and how you could use software versions of the same. First off is the desk. It's by Krept Customs, I think that's how you say it, out of Spain. This is a 3-bay desk and it's got loads of storage underneath. That's because I've got loads of bits and bobs. I want it all at arm's reach, which works perfectly. I used to have, if you look at old videos, ones where I had it either side, sort of like Sterling sound vibe, but I didn't really like sort of bending down, so I couldn't hear all the time. I want to be in the sweet spot between the speakers, and I quite miss standing up mastering, so that I can do both on this. So starting on the center rack, I've got the Maselec limiter. It's one of their early ones, which is why it's got a white cover on it. And that's got a high pass reduction, and it's just a limiter that I put at the end of my chain. It's really sweet sounding. Then I've got this Maselec MLA3, which is a multi-band compressor, which sounds obviously lovely. Another Maselec bit of kit is this Maselec EQ. This is the version 6. I've had loads of these. Version 6 is the one that I preferred the most. I had about 6 of them at Metropolis, so I had a chance to go through the different ones, and this was the one I stuck with. Now we get on to the Terry. This is fairly new in my rack. This is my new favourite toy because it's about 3 different flavours of EQ in one box. It sounds great. The EQs are like old Neumann EQs and stuff, and it just sounds really smooth. You can push it quite hard, but it's got a really nice old school vibe to it. Check out the Terry if you're looking for a hardware EQ. I love it. So the next rack is this Vice EQ1. These were the original digital EQs. They are really nice sounding. You can get a plug-in version of this now. So these are getting a little bit redundant, but I do like to turn a knob. So this works better for me in this format, and I've got it, so I might as well use it. Next down is the Unfairchild Fairman kind of clone. This is amazing because it has loads of different features. I've got the extra box that comes with it. That box turns it into a feed forward and feed back. So you can do loads of different stuff. It's got high pass filters on it so that you can sort of, for your detection points, you can mix it. It's got loads of different stuff. So yeah, that's a really good little bonus to have on it. But the sound of this, it's got about 20 valves in it, I think. It's heavy, it sounds great. I just kind of tickle through it because I don't really want to put too much on, but it's just lovely on guitars and any instruments going through it. Vocals just sounds great. Starting on rack 3 is, first of all, is my D2A for the studio. So that's the Lavery Quintessence. That's feeding the chain. This is such a nice sound. Really clean, just love it. It's got a vibe, but it's not too vibey, but yeah, it's great. And it's got a gold panel, obviously. Then I've got the Lynx Hilo, however you want to say it. This is kind of it's got so many ins and outs. It's really clean. I've checked it out against loads of different D2As and A to Ds, and it always came out on top. So that is the kind of brains of my room. I've got so many ins and outs going to that, feeding minute meters and loads of different bits and pieces. They are amazing. Next down is my Neumann compressor. This is a 1980s compressor, 70s compressor, and they used to use it in cutting lathes. Now, I got into this when I worked with Kevin Metcalf at Soundmasters. This was his kind of secret trick for a lot of guitar music, reggae music, and I use it a lot. It really brings out the mids. It's got a real snap to it. It's lovely. It sounds great. Then you've got the classic Manley Varimu, which is just another tube compressor. And then we go down to the Avalon, which is the 747. Now I've got different tubes in this one. I played around with loads of different tubes. The tubes I've got are Philips tubes if you wanted to do it, but these are amazing. They've stopped making them, but you should grab one if you can. They just do a plug-in of it now, which is really good. I've done a sort of an A/B against this and the plug-in, and the plug-in comes out really well. I just love the EQ on this is fantastic. This final one, which is 32K, just sounds so sweet. And the compressor on it sounds really nice on sort of low end. The next thing in the chain is a Teglia Audio Cream. Now this is the RC one, so you've got a plug-in that will move all of these faders and switches for you. But I love this. This is on most things in here. It's essentially a Pultec EQ at the top and an SSL compressor at the bottom. So it's a really nice finishing unit. Not massive money, so if you are looking for some hardware stuff, that would be my first buy that I would get, because you get an EQ and a compressor, and it's really high quality and sounds really nice. And then at the bottom is the controller, the SPL controller. This is so I can switch things in and out, and I can move things around. I can also do some parallel mixing. It's really good. It's really nice sounding. Well, you can't really hear it, which is what you want from this, but it's just really quick and easy for me to be able to switch things in and out and move things around so I can hear what I'm doing and hear exactly what each unit is doing to the sound, rather than plugging them all in and out and not realizing you got something in bypass. Okay, so down here we have our clocking, which is, I've got a 10M atomic clock, which just keeps all of the digital gear really tight. That's got a really good sound to it. And this is so that I can select my different sample rates on different things, and I just know everything's locked up and tight to that sample rate. Underneath that is my Trinov. That is my speaker correction system that I have in the room. It's similar to Sound Idea if you have that, but it's kind of a massive full-on version of that. I've done some other videos you can see on my channel. So first here I've got the Avid Matrix Studio. These have got DAD converters in them, so they are a really good sounding converter. So I can use those as an alternative to the ones I've got up there if I want to try something different. Underneath I've got the Dangerous S&M box. Now this splits the signal from a stereo signal into an MS signal. So I can put that in my chain up here in the SPL, and then I can switch any of my stereo equipment to use it in MS mode, which is really super handy, especially on EQs, because what it does, it makes the left-hand side do the mid and then the right-hand side do the side. So you can do some really nice tricks with your hardware because of that box. And it's also got a stereo width on it too. So instead of doing it in software, I can do it in hardware, and it's just a different type of vibe, different sound to it. So that's pretty nice. And then in there is my mains distribution. That's a Starpoint mains earthing distribution, so that all the earths from everything are going to the same one earth that is outside, so that we know that we've got a clean signal coming through into the room, and we're not going to get any noise going through our equipment, because when you're using this much analog equipment, you want it really clean and precise, which is why I've got super mental cables, really expensive mains cables, and then all the earthing is as clean as I can possibly get it. Now going on to this side, I've got a Younger DO1. Now this is not on currently, but when it is on, it's got an upward compressor on it, which sounds insane, and it was a real trick in the 90s to have that. That's why I've got it. It's a really nice box. If you see those for sale, grab one, because the upward compression just sounds so sweet on most things. And under here, this is a Summit Audio warm interface. Now this is just a box full of tubes. They made about 10 of these, I think. I picked this up along the way on my travels, and it's just been serviced. Sounds great. Basically, you just run through it. It adds just a load of warmth and depth to the sound. So it's quite a nice kind of secret box to have. You don't do any adjustments on it. It's just in or out. And it just, like I say, adds a really nice bit of depth to a track. So now on to the all-important monitoring. How am I listening to things in the room? Okay, well, I've got the trusty old NS10s here, which I've brought them back out of retirement because I just missed them, and I think they're great. I love just sitting there and getting into them. So yeah, I've got those little boys on the go. Unfortunately, the Bryston amp that usually runs them is in repair at the moment. So I've got this old Quad 303, which I'm running them off currently, but the Bryston is the one to run if you get the opportunity. They're also coming out the back of this Hugo TT2. So this is a headphone amplifier, and you can also use it as a preamp. So I'm using it as a preamp for the speakers, so it makes them sound really nice. It's amazing how much better they sound going through that. That box is mental for headphones, and especially for these speakers too. Now looking at my main speakers, which are red hot today because it's really hot in the studio. You can probably see I've got a sweat on. These things are great because the room isn't 100% perfect. It never can be. These speakers fire forwards. Go and check out the technology that these have inside them. Key 3 Audio, they are amazing sounding speakers. I've got the BXT system, which is the bass extension, and I've also got on the bottom of them, you can't see, but I've also got the Isoacoustics pucks on there too, that are specially made for these, just to keep them nice and secure. They sound great. They've got loads of tuning on them, but they just essentially work with the back wall to make sure that you've just got solid bass coming at you, and they just sound so clean. I love them. So on to what headphones I use. I've got quite an array of headphones. I've got these are my favorite currently. These are the Head Audio new headphones. I've got these Meze Audio headphones, they're lovely. They're really nice, posh sounding headphones. These Virums, which are a little company in Ukraine. They're nice sounding. They're good value as well if you're looking for headphones. I've got the Audeze LCD X's, and I've also got various other pairs of Olos, Sennheisers and Austrian Audios, and a few more pairs out the back. So I've got plenty when it comes to headphones to check out different sounds and different styles. And obviously I'm going through the Hugo, which makes a hell of a difference. I also use a lot of UAD plugins. I use a lot of FabFilter. I've got a lot of plugins going on in there that I can grab at any time, but I like to keep with a lot of the hardware that I use for mastering, just because I try and limit myself so that I'm not doing 100 things when I could be doing one. Also in here, I've got little devices like the Stream Deck, which is really helpful for just calling stuff up quickly. And I've got this TC Electronics meter just for seeing how my LUFS stuff is and all that kind of nonsense. So that's it, that's the studio. I'm going to do a little running total now so that I know how much it is, so that I can insure it for that. But before I go, I've launched Streaky Plus platform this week, where you can get one-to-one feedback from me. There are exclusive courses in there, presets and loads more. So if you're interested in joining Streaky Plus and chatting to me every day, then go to the link that's in the description now. See you there.